All right. I'm just going to get it out of the way right now, Ricky. I'm wearing glasses here because I have a sty in my eye. It is puffy and swollen. The bright lights are very bothersome. There, I said it. Okay, everyone can stop judging me. Ricky, good
Get the
morning.
elephant out of the
This
room.
I know, right?
Elephant in the room out of the
Just
way.
let's just get it over with, people. Just whatever. You can see my screens, my monitors. I mean, it is what it is. It's better than me squinting and being in pain the whole time. So I'll look a little weird for an hour or so. But Ricky, good morning. This is our first episode together in a little bit, like a month
Yeah.
ish, because we had the one with Alex and obviously the one I did by myself. But good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. This is our first episode since the Celtics got eliminated from the playoffs, so that kind of sucks. But it was nice seeing the Knicks lose in that fashion yesterday. So I'll
Absolutely.
take that. I'll
They
take that as a win.
they
I
absolutely
love
suck.
Pacers own them.
I joked with my friend after Tatum got injured. I was like, wow, the Knicks are actually beating an injured Celtics team. Wow, this is going to plague their path to the finals, if they get there. Everyone bashes the Celtics last year. Oh, they had an easy path because Halliburton got injured and,
Right.
all the injuries that they faced or the other teams had when they faced them. So wow, it's like what happens when the Knicks go against a fully healthy team? They get smoked, even though they lost in overtime. But whatever. Um, Man, we got a lot to talk about, and I want to kind of start with what you mentioned right before we started recording, and that is Fanatics Fest, because that is quickly coming up. And you actually brought to the attention of me that in 2 episodes time, we will be at Fanatics Fest. And I know we can talk about this more off camera and stuff like that, but I'd rather talk about just a smidge of it now, maybe kind of plant some seeds of something possible. And maybe we can go live during Fanatics Fest, similar to how we did at the National. Fingers crossed. I don't know about the quality. I don't know about the audio or the video, how good it's going to look, but it is something that we want to do either way, just because to talk about the show happening, to talk about the hobby in the moment at such an event, I think would be pretty cool. And it was cool in Cleveland last year.
Right. Yeah. No, that was fun, and I think this time would be a little more interesting, more fun, because we'll be behind the table this time.
Yeah, and I think I can already kind of see it. We're just chit chatting about whatever, and then like a deal happens. Like, oh, hold on, Ricky, I gotta go. I gotta go make this. Whatever, and then you just kind of take the mic for a few minutes. I think something like that would be kind of cool. Again, it'd be super immersive, just based on being at a show and like what you said, we'll be behind the table, so we'll have a little bit more space, a little more privacy to kind of, do what we need to do in terms of a production or just a simple recording session. But what about Fanatics Fest are you looking forward to the most, would you say?
I think just the experience in general, like I personally, for myself, I mean, I'm sure I'll make a couple deals, whatever, sell some, buy some, but I think I'm just most excited for the experience. Like just seeing videos last year, it just looked like a great time. I'm excited to see like what athletes or celebrities come to our table, who we get to meet, stuff like that.
I think I mentioned it last time, just like the connections that could be made. Again, imagine if just Tom Brady just shows up to the table, or really any kind of big time athlete. Let's say Jaden Daniels shows up to the table or something. I'm not gonna be the guy to be like, oh, can I get your autograph, whatever. Want to talk cards and such like that. And I just think that would be super cool to obviously record and have a video of, but also just experience myself as a collector, as a sports fan, and being at this show as a vendor. It's going to have some national level similarities based on the fact, like, massive show, tons of athletes, tons of vibes, and it's just going to be just hectic and crazy at all times. Obviously, it's not as big as the national in terms of table amount or the amount of attendees, but it's going to be just about as close as it can get without being the national itself. And I think that alone is something to very, very much look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I wonder how close it is to the national. Like, what if it does end up being bigger? What if it does end up being more people?
I noticed that a lot of people kind of stain the National as like an old timer show because a lot of vintage memorabilia, vintage
Yeah,
cards, a lot of the autograph signers are kind of old school players. And you know what? That serves a certain population. That's fine. But this show, I feel like will have little to none of that. Maybe a few tables of vintage cards, of course, because it is a fabric of the hobby. But like, I mean, we both know the National has its infamous vintage village. And I don't
right,
expect that to there's again a couple tables maybe, but nowhere near like the National. So it's going to be more upbeat. It's going to be more modern. I mean, there's going to be a million Joe Burrow rookies, a million Jaden Daniel rookies compared to the National, where obviously there's a bunch, but like there's going to be a handful of Ted Williams rookies. There's going to be a handful of
right, right.
third year Mickey Mantles, where this show there might not be that many of that. So I think having a blast of modernization is something that I'm really looking forward to kind of just soak in the because like when we're walking the National, it's like, all right, this is vintage. All right, we can kind of just breeze through it, walk through, and that's that. But like Fanatics Fest, when we do walk, because we're gonna take turns, I think we're gonna have to be like, oh, we actually have to look at almost every single table, just because there's not gonna be much to just skip through.
Right, yeah, because like you said, like all the vintage stuff, I like it. I'm not really into that. I don't really care for it, so I'll just walk right by it.
It's
But
history.
like you said, in that sense, I think we kind of have to look at every table because not every table is going to have just vintage on vintage on vintage and stuff like that.
I'm
So yeah,
curious to
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see because obviously fanatics and memorabilia, it's a big thing. I'm curious to see how many tables are there selling memorabilia, cutthroating, competing, if that's
Oh
even
yeah,
allowed. I have no idea. I just signed up. I told them, sports cards, Pokemon cards, that's it. Obviously, I'm going to be bringing sports cards as we discussed in a phone call earlier this week, but I do want to dive into the Pokemon aspect of it, which is something you think would be pretty prevalent there. But let me just wrap up this thought. Is I mean, when we go to the National, we know that there's backyard breaks, there's whatnot, there's drip, there's this memorabilia, there's this auction house. How many of those? And I'm sure I could look at the corporate list or the vendors list, whatever, and find the answer. But I like the thinking aspect of it and not knowing more than actually finding out is how many of those will actually be there because Fanatics does
hmm
all of that under their own umbrella. And I'm sure they would like the corporate space to be fluffed up and the vendors to be fluffed up, of course, but, like, don't you think that they would wanna monopolize that at their own show, for that matter?
that's
Just
a good point.
makes me think about it. Again, I could find the answer, but I like the unknowing aspect of it better, but
Yeah, I'm sure they won't have that like whole whatnot area.
pavilion or whatever the hell they call it,
Yeah, the breakers pavilion. Yeah, that's so stupid.
it will be Fanatics Porch. I don't know, just making something up. Alright, Pokemon. So we chit chatted about vending at the show, just kind of more of a personal level, what to expect from Murph's Card Town, and kind of how I want to incorporate things for the big show. And I told you, and as of now, it doesn't seem like I will bring any Pokemon, but that could change. But you, on the other hand, think that Pokemon is going to be pretty prevalent at this show. Now, of course, there will be a presence, and there will be a good amount of Pokemon, but you seem a lot more optimistic about the Pokemon scene than me. You want to dive into kind of what makes you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to Pokemon being so hot right now that these vendors are going to want to make money off of it, obviously, because a lot of them aren't necessarily here for the hobby; they're here for the money. So, if Pokemon bring in the money right now, and if it's Pokemon that's hot, they're going to be buying and selling Pokemon. So, I think it will be there. I'm not saying it'll be like Collecticon levels, but I think it'll be more present than the national for sure.
So you mentioned Collecticon, and I know you've mentioned that there's some sports, very little sports at a Collecticon. Would you possibly compare it to Fanatics Fest having an equal amount of Pokemon that Collecticon has for sports? Or do you think Fanatics Fest, kind of like what you said, will have more sports, but obviously not Collecticon level? More Pokemon.
I don't know. I just can't imagine that Pokemon won't be popular there. It's like I get it. It's a sport entertainment centered event. Fanatics Fest, like all the WWE, UFC, whatever. It's like
Here
very
comes
sports.
Charizard.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just can't imagine that Pokemon will not be popular there. That's why I plan on bringing my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were just saying you were planning on not bringing any now. See how things change, but I plan on bringing some of my stuff because even if other dealers don't have it, the people who are looking for it will find it at the table, well, your table, and they'll either want to pay a premium or want to trade better for some. So that's why I'm bringing some. Like even if it's not that popular there, the people who are there looking for it
We'll have to look at you.
will have to come to us.
Mm-hmm. That's a smart way to think about it. And so, not to jump ahead, but for the West Coast card show that Burbank is running, I was able to kind of pick what table I wanted, and they had it broken up. Like, hey, this is kind of where a lot of the Pokemon guys are, and this is where all the sports. And for them, they have a lot more sports vendors than Pokemon, but they were able to kind of section it off. And of course, Pokemon will be with sports, and sports will be, of course, they're going to get mixed match. But for Fanatics, I wasn't able to get to choose. They're telling me, hey, your booth is going to be this number. You get to kind of load in at that time. So I'm curious if they kind of orchestrated it where it's kind of grouped together. Like, hey, we'll put all our Pokemon TCG over here. We'll put all our sports over there. Blah, 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 blah. Or they could care less. Everyone just fend for yourself in this giant dog pile of vendor tables. I'm very curious to see how they kind of break it off because I completely agree with you. At a show, if you're the only person that has something that somebody's looking for, then they have to shop with you if they want something. If you were to set up at Collecticon and you were the only one with sports cards and somebody was looking for sports, they'd have to shop with you. So from that aspect of it, and I think for me, it's going to kind of depend on what my inventory looks like after EC3 Con. Depends on what I bring for Pokemon. Obviously, sealed products off the table for me. Dollar boxes, maybe case cards. I mean, maybe filling up a case of Pokemon cards would definitely be nice just to kind of have some form of balance in case the sports isn't for everybody that walks up to the table, or just to kind of have a balance in case somebody like ourselves like to do kind of, a little bit of both. So it's definitely going to be very intriguing. I mean, we have no idea what the hell to expect, but it's definitely something that we just keep looking and looking and looking forward to. And not to jump any further ahead, we are 2 months, just a smidge over 2 months away from the national, Ricky, and that is something to just be like, wait a second,
Oh my god!
where'd the time
Wow,
go? It's
you're
May
right.
22nd. The national starts, I believe, July 30th or the 29th, something like that. So it's just like we were just like breaking down the national. We were talking about our experience. We were talking
Oh
about our
my gosh!
pickups, and that's the crazy thing about like these big time shows is like, yeah, they happen like once a year or whatever, but they happen so it feels like it happens so frequently. Like when the national's over, it's like, all right, football season's about to start. So you kind of get caught up with that. And the next thing you know, the holidays are happening. So then you get caught up with that. And then baseball, for us at least, it's pretty big, but you also have the football playoffs, baseball's around the corner. So you kind of get caught up with that. And then it's just like, whoa, wait a second. The national's like 5-6 months away again. And I feel like we're going to get the same experience for Fanatics Fest because I definitely want to set back up next year at Fanatics Fest. Hopefully it's not in New York, but it probably will be. And being in New York, at least it's a drive away. I don't have to fly anywhere. But I feel like we're going to get this level of like, hey, Fanatics Fest is only like 8 months away, right around Halloween or whenever the hell they plan on having it next year. But yeah, a lot to look forward to there. A lot to look forward to with Fanatics Fest. Anything about Fanatics Fest that we can kind of talk about right now with what we know without
Did you see the that $1 million challenge that they're doing?
the how much the $1 million challenge?
Yeah.
What's this challenge? Drew
So
Jones 101?
50 random guests can apply for it. Well, apply for it. 50 random guests get chosen. It's
Mhm.
like they compete through. They compete like uh, throwing against Brady, shooting against whoever in hockey, basketball.
That sounds
Whatever.
exciting.
And
That
it's
sounds
like
exciting.
the number
Like,
one prize is $1 million. The second prize is like a Ferrari or something like that.
it's still pretty
Then
good.
the third place prize is like a LeBron James out of 50 top thrown rookie. Let's see. Yeah, Fanatics games. I'll send it to you so you can pull it up.
Now, why can't we have something like that for us vendors? Like, look, I don't expect to win. I don't think I'd come in last place though.
Right, like I feel like I could shoot a basketball.
Better than
I
Steph
could,
Curry.
yeah, of course. I taught Steph Curry how to shoot.
Got it. Got it. You sent me an
Yeah,
attachment. Let's take a look. Oh wow.
you weren't with us in the gym.
Oh, I saw this and I kind of completely breezed over it because I just didn't really focus on it. Second place Ferrari, take that. 9.5 LeBron, most recent sale 250K. But you'll have to dethrone a few icons. I love how they have I show speed on there. You have to race them.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're probably gonna have to race him.
That's see, I like the interactiveness of this kind of a
Definitely.
show. Obviously, we'll still have to see how this kind of plays out and what actual athletes participate and if they're participating right then and there. But if it's like a hey, I just saw Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's score was 40, but he like already had done it, like
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
the scenes. It's like, oh, that's kind of stupid. Because they could just be throwing up a random number at that point. But like, I mean, I know last year, seeing some clips and some footage, it's extremely interactive with a bunch of different players and athletes. So that's to me the most exciting part, how interactive it is, how geared towards the younger audience that this is with a national. They could just care less, because they
Right,
know that
right.
they're gonna be there. They know that they're a money pit being the national.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want some nationals like worried about Fanatics fans.
How many? I think the show aspect of Fanatics Fest is like 300 or 400 tables, I think. And then they obviously have all this other stuff. But like, if they could get to I mean, I don't know how many exactly is the national, but if they can get to 1,000 tables plus have all this,
Right.
then I'd be worried. Because then you're looking at Fanatics Fest being at the Stevens Center. Then you're looking at it being at the Anaheim Convention Center. You're looking at it to be at these big time venues. But I mean, 300-400 tables, that's a drop in the bucket for the national.
Yeah, but yeah. And then all the other stuff. I wonder how many square feet this place is. Because it looks huge.
I will tell you right now. Javits Center square feet. The Javits Center is 3.3 million square feet. Wow. How big
Okay.
is the Stevens Center?
Donald D. Stevens.
That's definitely not how you. Wait a second. Hold on. Did I spell this right? It's only 840,000 square feet. So it's already in a big venue.
That's
Why aren't
four
we
times.
using? What are we doing?
That's 4 times as big.
Oh my gosh. That's how are they not using all 3.3 million square feet to have upwards of 1,000 vendor tables?
How many
There's
are they?
there's no way that Fanatics Fest just at the Javits Center alone, because obviously I thought that the Stevens Center was bigger, um, can compete with the national. There's no reason why they can't. Let's see, Anaheim. I just want to see how big the Anaheim Convention Center is. The Anaheim Convention Center is 1.8 million square feet. So that's pretty big. But the Javits Center, 3.3 million. That is immensely huge.
That's insane.
There
And
is.
I can't imagine they can't afford to use at least half of that. Like, obviously, I'm not in that game, but I mean, I'm sure Michael Rubin could dish up a couple extra bucks.
That's what I'm saying. Wow. In 2021, they added 1.2 million square feet to the overall space. That is absurd. They literally just took the Donald Stevens Center and was just like throwing it on top of the Javits Center. Wow. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, moving along. Let's talk about this whole VeeFriends thing, Ricky, because I don't know what the hell Piggy Banks is, but I do know what VeeFriends is. So I need a little bit of education, as many people might as well.
Well, see, that's the thing. I have no idea what this stuff is. All I see is these, opportunists and flippers and all that promoting. They're all promoting VeeFriends now, and it's like, oh my god, I pulled a picture of a cat.
Isn't that what some people think Pokemon is? Oh, I pulled a flying lizard.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, like, people see sports cards the same way. It's like, all that is a picture of a dude on the card. But it's
so as far as I know,
literally just a picture of a cat, like a cartoon cat.
So I know Gary wants VeeFriends to be the next big Pokemon. He just teamed up with Topps Chrome, and I think this is like the first official release of VeeFriends with Topps Chrome. I don't know who printed it or manufactured it before. I guess it doesn't matter. Now, I was supposed to carry VeeFriends. However, I got absolutely shafted because I had a meeting. I had a Zoom meeting or Google Meets, make sure I use the right copyright, with one of his associates, two of his associates, actually. I asked a bunch of questions. I asked, more information. And because I had the meeting, at the end of the meeting, they said that I would get at least one case of, I think they promised me blasters. They're like, Fanatics dishes it out. And since I was in with Fanatics, we're like, we'll make sure that they provide you with at least one case of, I believe blasters. It was like 4 days before the release. I'm like, hey guys, I never got anything of this. What's the deal? He was like, yeah, a lot of people didn't. I'm like, what the hell happened? I mean, like, I was looking forward to this. Like, I was sharing your stuff. I was liking it. And then the guy was like, oh, just go buy it from David Adams. I'm like, listen, pal, that's not what I do. I don't
works.
That's not how it works. Like, what am I supposed to charge? David Adams is market price or sometimes over. So what the hell am I supposed to charge it for? So I was like, that's a sour taste in my mouth. So now I'm not liking, now I'm not sharing. And I got no bad blood with Gary himself or VeeFriends themselves, the guy, to be honest. So honestly, my level of excitement and hype for it's kind of dissipated a little bit, but it seems cool. It looks like it's exactly Pokemon, except if it was just holographic and numbered. I mean, I guess Pokemon is, but like if it was just numbered in autos, that's basically what it seems like to me. I don't know the mechanics of the game. I know there is a TCG playing element to it. How popular is it? I have no idea. But kind of to just piggyback off of my point, I guess, is like, or your point, I should say, is this what Pokemon was like back when it first came out? Oh, it's just pictures of this and pictures of that. And even for some like older folks or boomers, oh, it's just pictures of this and pictures of that. I mean,
I don't think so, because before it was a card game, it was a show, movies and all that stuff. So it's like people knew what it was. It's not like the card game just randomly popped up.
Yeah. You all right? You sick?
Yeah.
Yeah, something's
Getting over
falling
something,
around.
I just feel like this is another money grab. That's just me, especially seeing all these YouTubers, whatever, pretending to be excited,
Oh, oh,
pretending to be
oh,
excited about it for a week.
and then forget about it.
Right, exactly.
Is
This
there
is the
any room? Well, let me ask you this, because is it a money grab? Yeah, I mean, I can buy into that theory. So, like, Upper Deck, for instance, is coming out with a new TCG, Rush of Ichor, Rish of Icor. It comes out in June, whatever. And I'm pretty sure that's their own TCG. So picture Tops or Panini coming out with their own game. Um, Again, that's just my understanding. I could be very incorrect, but so my question is like, is there still space for something new in this hobby? Now, with Upper Deck and Rush of Ichor, if it's specifically designed to be a trading card game, I would say yes. We've seen a bunch of different trading card games kind of come up through the works over the last 4 or 5 years. Some have been successful, some have not been. Now, the thing with VeeFriends, and I guess I'll answer my own question before I have you answer, is it's not entirely geared to be a TCG, where it has a TCG element like Pokemon, like One Piece, but there's such a bigger or wannabe uh, bigger collecting and flipping element to it.
Mhm.
So, like, is there still room in this hobby for just organic growth without having to be a money pit? It's a tough
I
question.
mean, today, no, probably not.
Ooh, wow.
Like that's all. Like no, I'm not gonna say no one, but a lot of people. I mean, including myself. I don't know how to play the Pokemon game, but at the same time, I'm not here just for the money. Like I like collecting cool artwork. I like collecting cool cards because it looks cool. But a lot of people aren't here for the artwork; they're here for the money. So
Yeah, I agree completely on
so
that.
if that whatever upper deck game,
It's
I don't
tough
know. I
because
feel like in order for it to be successful, there has to be some kind of fake hype about how rare one of the cards are, or something like that.
I like the I'm not gonna call it passion because I know it's not passion, but like the ferocity. I feel it behind you. You're like it's almost like you're sick of it in a way. You're like, this again? Screw it. I don't know. Is
It's
there something built up that we need to know about
don't
besides
make
that
me
cough?
laugh. Um, no, I'm just tired of these people who don't care about this stuff being in the space for money. Like, go back to sneakers.
Funkos. There's a new Funko. I'm sorry, not Funkos. I just learned that Funkos and Pop Mart are two different things, and
Right.
there's a Pop Mart store going at the Providence Mall. So
Oh yeah,
it,
those are so popular.
I'm not gonna dive into it because I A, don't know the difference, and B, no, I don't care. All right, so back to the hobby. Um, I kind of want to talk about. I want to talk about this and this conversation or this topic of conversation. I was actually brought up by a customer who comes to the shop, and he sent me a picture of a very nice Ellie De La Cruz card, and I can't pull it back up because it was only a one-time view. Blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter. So the question is, Ricky, a player like Ellie De La Cruz, who is popular, who is doing decent. I mean, let me pull up his stats, and then we can kind of just go from there. Um,
James Woods is better.
James Woods is absolutely better, and there's no way around that. Window. What do I want here? Is this it? I think this is it. Boom. There we go. All right, beautiful. Yeah, he's got a .9 WAR. He's got 242 average, 8 home runs, 16 steals. His on base plus slugging is 721. Say what you want. And he's a relative face of baseball, like one of the 7 faces of baseball right now. So this guy was saying how good he's doing, and to myself, I was like, good.
Right.
Why his market isn't higher, or why isn't it a time to buy Ellie De La Cruz? Now to kind of just I what I told him was is when a player does well, that's the time to sell. that player. And that's when you see a player's market dip. It's all ebbs and
Right.
flows. It's literally the stock market. When a stock goes up, everybody's buying it, and then all it takes is a few people to sell it, and then the stock will fall. And that is the exact same thing, because you don't want to buy if Ellie De La Cruz has a 50-50 season, wins MVP, wins the World Series and World Series MVP. You'd be foolish to buy it at that time because he just had the
Right.
best season that you could possibly imagine. So when a player is having a good stretch, because that's what baseball is, it doesn't matter what you do in a game or 2 games or whatever. It's about your stretches. Get this stupid ad out of here. And this one too. It's about what you do over a stretch, and he's having a decent stretch right now. But you're not supposed to buy it when he has a good stretch. You're supposed to buy it when he has a bad stretch, or when he's injured, or when he sucks. Is that a fair analysis of when to buy and sell sports players? Like, you're not going to buy Jalen Hurts the night that he wins the Super Bowl. That makes
Right.
absolutely no
Right.
sense. That
Well,
was my
yeah,
question.
you're supposed to buy when everyone's selling and sell when everyone's buying. That reason right there. Like at that point, you don't want to sell when everyone else is selling, because then at that point you're just trying to undercut each other, and you end up making less.
That is the same exact thing that we see at shows all the time. That's why I hate bringing sealed product to shows, and I'm gonna do it for Mohegan because I just don't think there'll be that many people selling sports products, at least at the price that I can offer at Mohegan. I mean, especially with Pokemon, everyone was, when a new booster box came out months ago, or I guess a year ago at this point, before the market just really absolutely went insane. Paradox Rift boosters, who was the person selling it for $100? Because everyone was at 105, 110, 100, 115 was like the high. But who was that one person that was at 100 or even less than 100 if I got maybe 2 or 3? It was just a chase to the bottom. Everyone was cutthroating everybody. Absolute plague for the hobby, I think. Now, to kind of spin it real quick, I guess I'll kind of circle back to Pokemon, where they don't have performances. They don't have good stretches and bad stretches. It makes it more challenging when to buy or sell. Now, obviously, market manipulation has been kind of swirling over the last couple of months about, this card or that card, the Drowsy being the biggest one. Um, I'll ask you personally, when do you feel is a good time to buy and then sell, or to sell and then buy?
You talking Pokemon or?
Let's go with Pokemon first. Yeah.
See, I'm still learning that game because right before the boom, why why picking up Drowsy? Oh,
Hold on, because I want to
oh,
show people.
but yeah, right before the boom is when I got in. So all I kind of know is like this boom for Pokemon. I have me and that card have beef
Why is that?
because I was
Okay.
one of the suckers who bought it at the high.
Wow, they have it as a high of 63. I remember seeing this card for like $90. Didn't you buy it for like $80?
I think I bought it for like $70, and that was a deal at the time.
That's crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
Uh, no, that's okay. I forgot what I was saying.
Because
But
like, okay.
yeah, no, I don't really know like the slow down period of Pokemon yet. Like I've really only been here for the boom, which sounds bad, but like I got in before I even knew how hot the market was. Like, I just liked the cool cards,
Oh, that's a
and
9.
that's why I bought them.
So like, it's just baffles because like, and this is what I'm talking about, like market manipulation here, is this card up until Christmas was under $20. And then after the new year, it just spikes and spikes, and it has at a high of 83. I've seen sales again around 100, 90 to 100. And then it just comes back down to earth, where it currently sits at like about a $30 card. Sports, I feel like, don't have this problem because you can't manipulate someone's market if they suck. You can't manipulate their market if they're playing. Or maybe if they do suck, you might be able to. Like, oh, hype. JJ McCarthy hasn't been on the field yet, and apparently he's the second best quarterback out of the draft class. I don't understand that concept. But okay, so better yet, better line of thinking is you can't manipulate somebody's market if they're good. If they're good, they're good. And that's kind of
Right.
what drives the sports card market is if a player is good, if they are winning, if they're putting up stats and numbers. Like, again, I mean, I don't want to pick on JJ McCarthy because he hasn't played, but like a quarterback like Drake May, I think is a really good example. Not to pick on the local kid or a player that I wasn't a fan of in the draft process, but Ricky, he won one game that he started last year. One. And people are through the moon over this kid. Does he have potential? Sure. Does he look good at times? Yes. Does he have the skill set to be an NFL quarterback in this league? Yes. But we haven't seen it. And I know he had no weapons. He had no O-line. The coaching sucked. Blah, 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 blah. But we can't manipulate his market because he's good, because he wasn't. And people are blind to that fact. But we can manipulate his market even though he stunk. And in reality, he sucked. In reality, he did. But we can build up hype and think he'll be good based off of the coaching changes, based off of the draft class and the free agent signing. So we're manipulating the market full of hot air. Just and when will it pop? Week 1 when he sucks. If he sucks, I should say. If he sucks.
Come on, come
If
on.
I'm sorry. If
You're a little upset because he took over your boy Mac Jones. I get it. But I like Drake May a lot more than I like Mac Jones.
two different quarterbacks. I'll say this, and I've said this before.
Yeah, one's good and one's not.
If Drake May, I'm sorry, hold on. Let me read. When Mac Jones was underperforming based off of poor coaching, lack of weapons, lack of O-line, where was his excuses? Now, I'll admit he made some bad throws and bad decisions. He is not, Tootie Good Shoes, but he had no excuses except, oh, he sucks. He can't play. However, when Drake May makes those same mistakes with the same circumstances, oh, the coaching stinks. He has no weapons. He has no O-line to protect him. Ricky, if he had no running ability, if he was a statue like Mac Jones in the pocket, Drake May would too be like Mac Jones, except with a harder arm, with a better arm, because Drake May can throw the ball way better.
One had Bill Belichick as a coach. The other had Gerard Mayo.
One had, I can't think of his name. Oh my god. Oh my god, Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator. The other had Andrew Van Pelt, who is not the best, but he was okay. He was actually probably the best coach on the Patriots staff last year. People aren't ready for that conversation. Matt Patricia sucked. Can we just admit that? He sucked.
I'll admit that.
Okay. And I think by the time that Bill O'Brien got him, Mac Jones, he was already scarred. He was all psyched out. He lost faith and lost confidence. And, sports and the mental aspect of it is a real thing. I mean, I think it took Sam Darnold a long time to kind of get through the ghosts that he saw against New England when he was with the Jets. And, the bad play we saw with the Panthers. And then he goes to Minnesota and he looks a lot better. I mean, I still think he sucks, but, you see my point. So, anyways, sports market is super inflationary. You can absolutely build it up to crazy levels. But with Pokemon, though, there is no performance to kind of back up a market, whether it's good or bad. But yet people still inflate it. I don't understand how. How are people falling for this inflated hype in this market manipulation on a card that was once upon a time a $10 card? Now, I know this is kind of old news at this point, but it's going to happen again. Why is it that the Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions is $1,500? The card's not even that good looking. It's cool, but it's not that good looking. And the pull rates from Prismatic are terrible. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, that's that's part of it is the pull rate, right? And it's so hard to pull.
Yeah, but like, if you were to spend $1,500, like, what makes me or you or anybody want to spend $1,500 on that Umbreon? What specifically about the card besides, oh, it's a tough pull rate, but okay, it's a tough pull rate. That's just a trump card to go sell it. So I'm just buying it to sell it. I mean, I guess. I guess that's, how some people think. Like, I don't, I'm trying to wrap up my point here to make it sound, a little bit better because I am a little all over the place. It's Pokemon is all market hype driven because there's no performance. Again, if Drake May goes out and plays well and he wins an MVP, blah blah blah, his market's gonna go up. We can understand that regardless how we feel about him. But like Sprigatito, he's not dropping 5 touchdowns this weekend, or he's also not throwing 5 interceptions. So it's like, all right, well, why is the Sprigatito special illustration rare all of a sudden 20% higher than what it was 2 weeks ago? Like all of a sudden the hobby just decided that, hey, this one card is cool, that we should buy it. Like, is that like older cards I understand, like the Lugias, the Garatinas, and the Altarts of Sword and Shield, because they're 4 years old at the very least, and they're not being printed, and they're hard to come by nowadays. So yeah,
This guy.
here's the LA.
This is still one of my favorites.
Oh, is that the Moltres, right?
Yeah.
The Galarian Moltres. So
I
like
love this card.
as a collector, we can sit here and say, like, all right, I like this card. I bought this card because I like this card for the artwork, how cool it looks, how whatever your reason is. But like, is everybody saying that for the market of that card to jump 25% in a week? Is that everybody saying that? Or is one person saying it who has an influence over a bunch of other people?
Well, yeah. Sometimes I'll find these reels while I'm scrolling. It's like, oh, these are the 3 cards that are going to be going up soon. You better buy them now.
Don't you love that? Better buy now. Better buy it right now.
And new people see that and be like, oh, I have to go buy that card. And I feel like that's what drives the prices up. Like I said, I was a sucker when I bought the Drowsy card because I thought, good God, excuse me. I thought it was going to keep going up, and it very well did not.
So let me ask you this, and I know I've asked you this before. What was the end goal for the Drowsy? For when you made the purchase of the Drowsy, what was your end goal with it? Was it to let it reach $100? Was it to keep it for a year? Was it to maybe get it graded, sit on it, flip it, or just, what was the end game?
Yeah, I bought it online, so my first thought was if it looks good, I'm going to grade it. My second thought was still not gradable, then I'll just hold it. But then it just kept shooting down. I'm like, okay, I got suckered, so I didn't want to be a bag holder, so I just decided to sell when it was at like 40 something bucks. Take that L instead of just keep watching it come down.
Would you say that was like a collecting lesson? Would you say like a hobby lesson?
Yeah,
I
I'd say that lesson there was stick to what you like instead of what's hot.
And I say the same thing, whether it's Pokemon or sports related, because there's a lot of differences, but there's also a lot of similarities between the two, sports and Pokemon cards. And I think, again, just because Jaden Daniels is playing good, just because CJ Stroud was playing good, doesn't mean that's going to last years upon years. That base Prism card that everybody has in the dollar bin is going to be worth $100 when you bought it at 50. I mean, it's just, I think education is a huge factor, or a lack of education is a huge factor in terms of educating newer collectors or collectors endeavoring on a new adventure. Be like, hey, this is kind of what's happening, this whole market manipulation. Let's try to avoid this because here's the data that shows that this is not sustainable. hey, you're a new collector. Let's just buy what you like and enjoy it. And when it's time that you don't like it anymore, or you find an upgraded version of it, then you can move on from it and keep things flowing and going. That's what I try to tell people all the time. Just to kind of circle back to Ellie, because that's how I started with it. We can see that his market, though he is playing well, that it did trickle up over 13 to 17. Oh, I'm sorry, 12 to 11, and now it's worth $810. So just because he's playing good doesn't mean it's time to, I mean, maybe at $810 it is a time to buy, especially when there's, two sales that are around 13. So maybe there is a reason to buy a card. But again, we have to do extensive research. And how many times are people doing research before they make a big purchase? Some, but not the new people that you kind of alluded to who are just kind of getting into it and they just like buy the hype up real quick. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of close the point with Ellie there. Anything else about this market manipulation, market hype kind of conversation before we go to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, just stop getting suckered by it. It happened to me. It'll probably happen again, but
Happens to all of us. It even happens to me. It happens.
like you said, just gotta do your research.
Yeah, I mean, it just keeps life simple, honestly. When you just buy what you like, enjoy it, and come then if then you deem you don't want it anymore, so be it. See you later. But I mean, I know a lot of people who are just new or getting into it. They're gonna go through their lumps. They're gonna look on YouTube and watch videos, and they're gonna get spoon fed the wrong information. It's quite unfortunate. Just because the influencers that they come across or that they watch, they don't have the collecting aspect at the forefront where they just have the, oh, let me buy this Desmond Ritter card for 50 grand, and then when he's the next best Atlanta Falcons quarterback, it'll be worth 100 grand. Yeah, okay. Ricky is.
Fake Jeff Wilson.
I didn't say anything. Is retail product specifically for sports now dead or alive? This is a very interesting conversation that I find myself having with people more often than not. But I'll ask you.
I say it's more alive now than it was in the past few years.
Define few years, like 2021-ish?
Yeah, like 2020, 2021. Because back then you couldn't find really anything on the shelves.
Anywhere.
But
So
now I see sports a lot more than Pokemon. The roles are kind of.
What is that noise you're making? Are you like flipping a pen or something?
Oh yeah. But no, the things have kind of reversed because all I ever saw was Pokemon on the shelves when I didn't care for it. And it's like now I like Pokemon, I can't find it.
Hindsight's 2020.
Not even Shrouded Fable, not even like those little Pokeballs that have 3 packs for $30.
Like, this is my thing with whole retail is I agree with you. I think it's very alive right now, but I think it's alive for the wrong reasons because I think people are just opening it just because they have access to it. And that's something that they didn't have before, whether it's older collectors or newer collectors. And I think a lot of the people that are ripping sports are probably also kind of into Pokemon one way or the other, and they can't find Pokemon to rip, so they're kind of forced to rip the sports part. And on top of that is there are chase cards, there are case hits, there are autographs, there are patches, there are numbered cards that you can find out of retail. It's not impossible. It is very hard, but it is not impossible. And I think people, again, buy into the idea of these YouTube shorts and these YouTube videos or these posts on Facebook, like, oh, look what I just pulled out of a hanger box in my car. And it's this out of 10 gold kaboom. It's like, guys, do we really think that these are actual real pulls half the time? Maybe they are. Maybe.
Right.
But like, really, how many times is it fabricated? Probably more often than we'd like to think. So I think people just are getting fed that kind of information and that content and be like, oh, I could do that. If he did it, I could do it. And then hence why people are buying an obnoxious amount of retail. would you rather buy 10 retail boxes or one hobby box? I think to each his own. But again, do you want quality or quantity? Because you're going to get a ton of quantity with that retail box and no guarantees besides the blue hyper prism exclusives. Besides that,
Right.
autos aren't guaranteed, patches aren't guaranteed. Whereas, although it's per box on average with, the hobbies, but like you're supposed to get better stuff. You're supposed to get numbered stuff and you're supposed to get autos and patches. Again, quality or quantity. Do you want one card worth $100? Or do you want 10 cards worth $10? To each his own. But like that's kind of like where my line of thinking is. So I think it's extremely alive, but like not for the right reason because people are having fun. Some people are having fun, but a lot of people ripping it are doing it for a different reason than just, hey, let me just buy a box for $30 and have some fun.
Right.
Which people are gonna do whatever the hell they're gonna want to do, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, retail. It's really hard to get a good hit from retail.
I mean, how many
It's like,
boxes have you opened and you struck out compared to how many times you opened and hit the nail on the head?
I mean, my best pulls have come from Pokemon. Like, I think my best sports pull. Like, I'm blanking. I don't.
It's tough because it's really hard to pull great sports cards that are like, I remember where I was, when I was, what I pulled it out of. Like, if ever come the day that I pull myself a Lugia Altar out of Silver Tempest, which I don't think will ever happen, but if it ever happens, I know exactly where I will be, when I did it, how I did it, out of what I did it from. Whereas sports
There's
cards,
one. There's one in this booster box if you want it.
he CAT scanned it, X-rayed it, he weighed all the packs and resealed it back up, baby. It's in there.
Exactly.
And that's a whole nother conversation about like sealed product that we will get into maybe another time because I'm not ready for that rant to go. I'm not ready to go on that rant. It's just, and like, I understand that people don't want to get into, if they're into sports, they don't want to get into Pokemon for whatever reasons. If they're into Pokemon, they don't want to get into sports for whatever reason. So I understand people wanting to stay in their lane. But like, if we take the hype away from Pokemon right now, it is obviously my opinion, still a better product for collectors to just open because booster bundles are supposed to give you 1 to 2 hits. ETBs, I'm seeing 4 to 5 hits now. Booster boxes, Journey Together, garnished up to 15 hits. Now, of course, EXs still unfortunately count, but it is still a hit though, nonetheless. Whereas if your napkin patch that isn't numbered of the 6th round linebacker that's in your box, I mean, if that counts as a hit, then an EX has to count. It's basically the same thing. So, I mean, to each his own, of course, but like, I'm still seeing, and I'd like to still see more people open for fun. But when they're throwing $30 at a box, $25 to $35 a box, they're like, how much fun is this? Well, hobbies are meant to have fun. You have to spend money on hobbies, and people kind of just don't think about that. Like, I mean, if I open a blaster box of select baseball, I got to be willing to have fun for $30 and look for some cool cards and some colored stuff. I know I'm not going to get anything good, so why bother doing it? But I want to have some fun. I want to
Right.
rip some packs. If you know you're not going to get anything, then why buy the box at all? People tell me all the time, like, oh, I know I'm not going to get anything. So why'd you just buy the box?
For the fun.
What?
It's like when you go to the casino, a hand of blackjack is like $25, and it's
Minimum.
like that.
Yep.
You get 2 seconds of playing the hand, and that's it. Especially if you're by yourself or whatever, the deal is going quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Money can go so fast, and you don't get anything out of it. At least when you're ripping a $25, $30 blaster box, you get something, and that feels like more fun.
And people tell me all the time, it's like, oh, this is just like gambling. It's just like scratch tickets. It's just like, okay, then why are you doing it? Like, I mean, we're
Well, yeah,
all
that's it.
addicted in one way or the other, but like,
If you're in it for the money, yeah, it is like a casino or a gambling.
amen. It's just the hobby, I think in general, is in a better place than it is in a bad place. Like, I think
Right.
3 years ago is in a really, really bad place. Pokemon is taking a turn. So I want to kind of generalize Pokemon into this hobby instead of separate them. I want to put them together. A few months ago, it was in a really bad spot. I think it is getting better, but we're still not there yet. So overall, I think it's in a good, I don't want to say good, above average spot. If I'm going to go from bad to meh to average to above average, good, great, I'm going to put it above average. It's in a better spot than bad, but it's not great. And I think once we can kind of start accepting the fact that this hobby is going to have to cost us money one way or the other, whether it's boxes, supplies, cards, breaks, whatever the hell you want to do, it's going to cost us money. Have fun. Just have fun. And
Right.
money always comes and goes. Unless you're just way too focused on the ROI, money will always come and go. Have fun. Enjoy the relationships, enjoy the cards, enjoy the moments. People just forget how to simply do that.
I
It's
agree.
absurd. It's absurd. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, even though I have the shop and it's a business, I still make sure I have fun, whether it's with, watching someone open and getting excited over a card or trying to make deals. I mean, I've had so many friends that I've come across from this hobby that if only I cared about the ROI and people's money, they wouldn't have been my friends. And I know you can speak on that because that's how we became great friends, is just by coming to the
Right.
shop, having conversations, and just
I
getting to
still
know each
remember.
other.
I sat going through your dollar boxes for like at least 2 hours,
Yeah.
just talking random stuff with you too, about the Red Sox and all that.
And
Yeah, like my first visit, I sat there for at least 2 hours.
and that can happen for anybody. Anybody. You go to any shop, any show, it takes a little bit of work, takes a little bit of courtesy and kindness and some social skills, but it can work. But people are
Right.
just so tunnel visioned on the money component of it. Blows my mind. All right. I guess this is a great segue to my next and final point is how do we drive more collecting into the hobby? And in our chat over here, I put Burbank's mission. They're about to close down for a few days as they transition to their bigger and better shop. And Rob from Burbank constantly talks about having cheap dollar cards, quarter cards, dime cards for collectors on a limited budget or whatever their budget is to find cool cards and to put these cards into forever homes. And that's something that I kind of emulate. I'm trying to get 100 value boxes here. I'm stuck at like 82, I think. I'm running out of space. But besides the point, how can we take the whole money centric tunnel vision component of it and turn people more into, I don't want to say collectors, but just have a better collecting ideology, I guess. I mean, we kind of just like, spitballed and ranted a little bit about like, oh, just try to have fun for $30 or just go to a show. And I think those are all true. But as much as we preach about it, Ricky, it might just come down more towards whoever the person is, if they want to or not.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think he does a great job. Like for the hobby, I think he actually enjoys it. And I think that's part of it. Like you want to see guys like him who genuinely enjoy the hobby. Like he I don't know him personally, obviously, but it feels like he's building that place, that brand, that store, like as a collector. Like I don't know if I'm wording this how I want to, but
It's like a collector showing off his collection,
right,
kind
like
of.
like he genuinely enjoys the hobby, as opposed to it just being about about money.
Mhm. And that's what
Like
I try to
some,
do here, and I wish and I think other shops don't. Oh, well, I know other shops don't. And I think I mean, it's all a trickle down effect. I really do. And I think that's I mean, there's no route that I can specifically find because people are just consuming and experiencing different things all at different times. But like, I mean, I'm sure you've been into a shop where it's not friendly. It doesn't seem like it has, your intentions as a customer at the forefront. They just want whatever money's in your pocket. I mean, we've all watched
right,
YouTube videos where it's just all hype up, Desmond Ritter, ha ha ha. So I mean, there's so many different routes that we need a snip, but we're not gonna be able to snip them. I just it, it's so hard to put it without like repeating myself, but like I'm not going to tell everybody to like, hey, stop flipping and be a collector. Stop what you're doing and collect cards. Like that's not going to happen either. But like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of these flippers and buyer seller traders are ruining it for the collectors. And we can see that we can even say this about the Pokemon because it's making Pokemon, unobtainable for people who just want to rip it and enjoy the set or collect the set or kids even. So I mean, it seems like a problem that will never be solved, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, it does suck because it's like, how are these companies supposed to like tackle that? Because like if they make more products, then like the card values will go down and all that stuff.
So I look at it this way. I don't really think, I mean, maybe Panini does, but I don't think like the Pokemon company cares about how much the Giratina alt art or the Lugia alt art or the Umbreon alt art are. I think they just care about putting the cards into collectors' hands or people's hands for that matter. Because like those cards have some really good effects that they are very playable. But imagine playing a $2,000 card. But like they could absolutely print more, blast it to an oblivion. But then the price of the product might go up because obviously the print run is going up. So they have to spend more to make more. And,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it comes to the question that we need to ask ourselves is do we want our card to be easily accessible so we can get it whenever we want, or whichever set is the chase card, we can always have access to it because it is so printed or so mass produced, or have our cards be worth something because they're scarce and there's not enough demand. I'm sorry, not enough supply to meet the demand. It's
well,
like I'm
not
okay if the Lugia alt art is worth $10. I really am. I could care less. I want 100 of them, but I know I'll never will. Like I just want one Umbreon alt art from Evolving Skies. I don't care how much it is. But
right.
like that's not the line of thinking for a lot of people. They want the most expensive card, regardless what it is. And I think that's why the Umbreon from Prismatic is so expensive. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, I mean that's why I'm holding on to the Articunos right now, which I'm so my package has been delayed from CGC, so I'm
Wow,
still
that's a
waiting
bummer.
on that. Still eagerly waiting on that.
Let's check mine. Let's see where mine is. Yeah, I mean, as great as it, oh, it's in the grading encapsulating stage. Um, as great as this hobby is, as far as we've come from a very low of lows, there's still a lot of growth and a lot of development that needs to take place, a lot of change that we still need to see. Again, from both sports and Pokemon, neither's perfect. And I think that's what will kind of help make the hobby so great in the future is
Mhm.
experiencing all these different negativities because I feel like the hobby in the late 80s, as mass produced as it was back then, I think was a great time. The early 90s was a great time. Cards were everywhere for people. It had little to no value, but I don't think people cared about that. But then once they introduced inserts and chase cards, that's when things just absolutely hit the fan. So can't go back to not making chase cards because then no one would buy the stuff. But
Right.
we can still take lessons from that and try to make this hobby great for everybody. Again, sport or Pokemon related. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Ricky, do we have any? Well, I know you do. Outgoing takes.
Yep, we're still buying future MVP James Wood.
MVP. P.
uh, let's see. What is my outgoing take?
I know I got to think about this too. It's always tough when
Yeah,
we.
I'm just not a fan of flippers, man. Like people who are just straight flipping, who are here for the hype, who create false hype, who are just here for money, who like purposely manipulate people. I just don't like them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the deliberate manipulation or the deliberate. I want to take advantage of you. And I tell people all
Right.
the time, like, if you have a card in your collection that you no longer like or you upgraded from, go ahead and sell it. Doesn't matter. Fine. But like, the deliberate actions of
I still remember one of your trade nights.
this Saturday,
Hold on.
guys, 4 p.m.
Oh, I missed your trade nights, but
Come through.
I wish. No, there was one kid one of your trade nights that I made a trade with, and he was like, he was so stern on saying my card is worth like, I don't know, $40. So we traded at $40 value. Then he literally turns around with me still standing right there and tries to sell that same card for $60.
I think I have an idea who it is. It was like a kid, right?
Yeah, like no older than like 16.
I have a rough idea.
Yeah, I remember that just left such a sour taste in my mouth.
And the kids, I don't want to say they're the worst because they're, a lot of kids in this hobby are so great, but like, I feel like the flipping kids, not like the effing kids, but like the flippers that are kids are
Yeah, because
the
they
worst.
see people like Roth and all them just buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. That's all they care about.
It's the content that these kids consume. They love these transitions and these like flashy effects, and they're just like hooked because they see these expensive cards. And it's like,
Right.
that's not what it's about. That's what he's doing, and that's fine. But like, that's not what it's all about. And that's
Right.
when those are the kids that kind of fade away. Like, I mean, I've had so many kids like, oh, I think it's time to get back into it. Oh, I think I want to start buying again. It's like, why? Why? But yeah, no, it's oh man. Man, oh man, oh man. All right. Outgoing take. I can't be basic. I can't be generic. Have fun, collect what you like. Um, this is a good one. I'll kind of piggyback kind of off of what you said. I want
Yeah.
people whenever they go to a shop or a show or a hobby event, make sure you go into that show knowing what your cards are worth. Know what the market value is of what it's worth. So if someone says, "Oh no, of course the market will always change," blah 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 blah, but like just have a general idea within at least the last couple days. Maybe at least within
Right.
48 hours. Just know what your cards are worth. So when you get to that place, you don't have to do as much research. If someone says, "Oh, I value this at 40," it's like, what do you mean? A lot. I know the last three did 80, 85, and 82. Like, what are you talking about? So, like, even if you want to do the whole 70% or 75%, you still know it doesn't equal 40. It just helps cut out the BS. It helps speed things up a little bit. And therefore, you can come to the table, a little bit more of a tighter grip, knowing what your cards are worth. And you have a stronger footing to stand on when you say, no, I'm not going to value it at $40. What are you talking about? So yeah, I think that's a good little piggyback, to help avoid those flippers and such, because they're the ones that are going to beat you down the 40, the 50% and such like that, because they have to go flip it. Exactly. All right. Well, that was a fantastic episode. Again, sorry for the glasses. I think I looked pretty cool wearing them, but hopefully I'm not wearing these again for next episode. But Ricky, 2 episodes times Fanatics Fest. Might have to do a Friday episode. Might have to do a Friday episode if we want to go live at the show, but we'll figure that out. We will let you know come next episode what we decide to do. But thank you everybody for watching and listening. Please make sure you smash the thumbs up button, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new or haven't considered subscribing. Check out the channel membership program. I have queued up the next video right there. It's going to cover Ricky's face. Sorry, Ricky. I apologize. But click on that video if you want to continue your hobby endeavors. Hopefully, I will see you in that one. But Ricky and I will see you in the next video. Peace out. Bye.
See you.